The good news is we haven't seen a single black shield since Old Hill.
Maybe they found who they were looking for.
Maybe they didn't. You know? I'm not gonna lie. Those images were not the most fun. Does it ever really bode well? I mean, if I wanted to.
This is nothing like I remember it.
How quickly a crown can lose its luster.
Oh, I can do a thing where I can zip to the side quest and then go straight back here. Maybe I could do that. Okay, let's see if this works. We'll just quickly do this side quest since we're right here, because it seems more like that that part of the story is going to take a little bit.
Come on.
Let's go have a slightly nicer time.
Easier than felling a forest, I said. The trees don't have teeth. Nice try. Too slow.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought we weren't done.
I can't imagine Obelisk needing any more than this. Time to head home.
And there we go. Easy. Hitting 2 subquests in 1 turn. Amazing. Jacobo, to me!
Good girl.
Fly! What I like doing is this. They call me Clive. I want one. So do I. Hang on.
Thanks, girl.
I have to do it again? Oh, Chocobo ain't allowed in here. Chocobos aren't allowed in here. Meow, 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 meow. Sorry, I really like that theme, that particular battle theme. It's so far my favorite theme. That and the icons theme.
Not abandoned then.
Oi! Visitors!
You wanna come and have a go if you think you're hard enough?
Apologies. We'll show ourselves out.
Yeah. Don't really.
Or not.
Hi, Jelk. How's it going? Happy FAZ Day. Welcome to the stream.
I've only ever seen one man fight like that. And he's long dead.
Then perhaps it's time you joined him.
The blessing of the Phoenix. It can't be. I was there when you died.
Hang on a second. You almost shot me. What the hell, man? Bro, if that hit me. If that hit him.
Forgive me, my lord. I knew not whom I addressed. You have naught to fear from us. Founder, it really is you.
Look, it's Wade. Didn't he just raid us? What have you been up to, Jelk? Could have given him a hug. Like, a hug is fine.
We can speak inside.
Perhaps you should join him. Yeah, you should, actually. It sounds like a good idea. So, all of these people were getting absolutely murked. What is this? It isn't June anymore.
And
Bro,
those who
I would
want
hug
to end
anyway.
the
I don't
me?
care. I'm a
We left
very much
before
a
the
hugger.
Empire could make examples of us, though we didn't go far. And we banded together to form the Guardians of the Flame soon after. Alas, there is only so much a handful of aging shields can do against the might of an empire. But we've seen to it that their stay has been anything but pleasant. Of late, though, we've had our hands full just trying to keep the Duchy's few remaining bearers out of the Imperial's clutches.
The Cullings. We saw what happened in Old Hill.
Aye, the foul work of the Black Shields and their mistress.
You mean my mother? But it doesn't make sense. Even knowing what I know about her. Her hatred for bearers was no secret, but she wouldn't have been ignorant of their value to the realm.
No offense, my lord, but in case you haven't noticed, the Lady Annabella couldn't care less about the realm. She barely even cares for her own home. That much has been plain since the slaughter at Eastpool.
People haven't forgotten about the
And
slaughter of Eastpool. It's
since
actually
granting
surprising.
the Holy Emperor a new heir, her obsession with bearers only seems to have grown. As to why, I don't know. Maybe she can't bear the thought of anyone having the power to challenge her beloved son.
Her son.
So Wade,
Which
the
one?
Black Shields are broken camp. They march in full force for Buick Bridge.
Then so do we.
Make ready.
I like how they do the sword holding pose.
This is their main host. If we remove the head, Perhaps we can prevent what happened at the docks from happening somewhere else. If I do nothing, then the blood of their next victims will be on my hands.
Yours and ours. We too have witnessed the crimes these men who dare call themselves shields have committed in my mother's name. It cannot be allowed to continue. We must put a stop to this madness.
We must. So let us go with you. For the good of Rosaria.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Standing by a window.
Very well. If that is your wish, I would be honored to serve at your side.
And we at yours.
So, Wade, let us do our duty.
With pleasure, my lord.
Look how cool Clive is now.
I imagine this endeavor will require more than just our wits.
Then let's hope Sir Wade has a good quartermaster.
You're telling me that's the part.
What is it you require?
What I kind of want is Desert Rose.
It has been an honor.
I don't see what you
Tell us
suggest.
then, Sir Wade. What is your plan?
Nothing fancy. You, Lady Jill and I make for Buett Bridge and provoke the main host at their encampment. Sensing an opportunity to end the Guardians, the Black Shields will call for reinforcements, who will be met from the rear by parties of my brothers hidden throughout the surrounding hills. This will allow us to wage battle on the bridge without fear of being overwhelmed. While the Black Shields have an advantage in numbers, you see, they prefer to fight in small units, which we can use to our advantage.
How small exactly?
Small enough, now that I have you and Lady Jill for company. I doubt I could have done this on my own.
But until we arrived, that was your plan. You haven't changed a bit.
So Wade, the bearers from Old Hill have been laid to rest.
Very good.
I'm actually
Now
glad.
get ready for battle.
I was hoping somebody would.
you
I know it
command.
sounds really dumb, because somebody does, but they've actually made it a big point that whenever there are characters that are dead in the series, they don't
Thank you,
just
Sir Wade.
disappear and we don't talk about them. You know, someone
Perhaps now they will find
actually
There is
puts
but one
them
thing
into a
which will
burial
grant them
phase.
peace. Putting
And
an
they've
end
mentioned
to
it
the Black
every
Shields.
time, and I don't know why, but
So
I
we
really
shall.
appreciate it. Such a small thing. Yes, we're gonna black or white. I go white, clearly. Throughout the main scenario, Clive will often be joined by various companions who are keen to lend their assistance. However, depending on Clive's destination, they may choose to remain behind at the hideaway. Makes sense. It makes the world feel more real. I don't know if it makes the world feel more real because but it's just more of an appreciation
Go with you.
than anything else.
How long have you been pursuing the Black
I mean, heck, the real world doesn't
Since
talk
they
about
burned their
how
first village,
how many
we
people get
tracked
buried.
down the bastards responsible and fed their corpses to Stillwind. Suffice to say, that got their attention. It's been a game of cat and mouse ever since.
Let's go.
Especially like the amount of respect. I guess it's because so many of the characters get given so little. Quiet Sons.
Look at me sideways. How was the Black Shields?
Come along now.
The bastards are looking.
There they are. On your command, my lord.
Let me just check something. I guess, but there's still some people that will talk about any event that results in mass death, so the fact that they react instead of disappear makes the world feel more lived in instead of gamey. That is true. I won't deny that one. I still haven't even mastered these ones. I'm too afraid of like putting time into moves that I'm not going to use. This one I like a lot. Pile driver. Can't you reset the points if you don't use abilities? I use everything that I currently have. That's the thing. Like, there isn't really a thing here that I haven't used. But the ones I want to use are like these abilities here. So like Flames of Rebirth, I unlocked it straight away. But there's moves that I just don't want to use. Like the thing I like about this one is that this one can attack multiple things. So it saves me time from having to think about certain parts. Like, I don't see the usage of this one. Create a ball of lightning upon being struck. But I do want this one, because this one seems really good to use from a high standpoint. And I don't have Stinger. I don't have Lunge, which should be something I should have. Or Down Thrust. That one seems really good to have. But it's just that I don't use it enough. Because I like bringing them up close. And yeah, I was like telling them, Anthony's the better smash.
I told you. We bear a message for the Vicereine. From the Guardians of the Flame. Ha! You presume to tell us that a pair of filthy vagabonds, a woman and a dog, could guard aught against the might of the Black Shields?
Yes.
Then come! Die along with your flame! For Azaria!
For Azaria!
Your petty revolution ends here. On these our swords we swear.
Nice try.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. This is one of them. This is him.
Bloody hell! Reinforcements from the far bank!
Another wyvern to fight their battles for them. Too slow.
Eh.
Help me, boy.
I'm gonna save it for the third one.
More dragons.
The Imperials aren't taking any chances. I can't say I'm flattered.
Let's do this. Oh, okay. All right. Like you've seen so many of these chumps and they all keep thinking they can take
A
you down.
noble stand,
Oh, it's a good thing we did wait.
albeit a misguided one. In taking it, you have but proven our point. That this land is in dire need of cleansing.
Light up the lasting dark. That's fine. Ah, yeah, basket. All that cockiness and bravado. All that cockiness and bravado didn't work out for me there. It was like, oh, yeah, let me just go heal. And then I forgot, which is the heal button. Oop. Okay, look, I didn't do anything wrong. The game killed me when it had the right opportunity to, okay?
We'll keep them from. May the blessing of the Phoenix go with you.
I should have, at least it means that I know what I'm getting myself into, right? Where are you? He just appears in front of me. Imagine not killing everything first try. I hate that. Like, because it wasn't me trying to lose. I could have won. I could have done it in the first try. I've done this on low health before. And then I die because I decided to be really cocky and was like, no, I want to use all of my abilities. I don't want to use one. Why would I use one of my abilities when I can use every single ability under the sun? Let me try this again. Nobody saw me make a mistake. Nobody did.
We bear a message for the Vicereine. From the Guardians of the Flame. Ha! You presume to tell us.
Oh, no, it's wrong. What are you talking about? Dan never made a mistake at all. Never.
And a dog could guard aught against the might of the Black Shields.
Then come! Die along with your flame!
When you had so many things... Right. I appreciate that scenario.
Your petty revolution ends here. On these our swords we swear.
Ah, the one stray shot.
Bloody hell! Reinforcements from the far bank!
Another wyvern to fight their battles for them.
The Imperials aren't taking any chances. I can't say I'm flattered.
Okay. Need to potion.
You're finished.
Oh, okay. Okay. I need to heal up, like, literally now.
A noble stand, albeit
Time for the main event.
misguided one.
Now just kick his butt. That's basically what it is.
Taking it.
Like, the thing that's actually ruining me is actually Ramu, because I have a third ability, which I'm not used to using. And the first two is actually what I've been planning all my attacks around.
There's a good boy.
Oh, I was lucky.
So Wade,
There's no one left to keep them occupied. We need to finish this.
You mean finish him? Help me, boy. Thanks, boy. Come on. Well done. Guess we're all ready.
There we go. See? Told you. First try. People thought I couldn't do it. There was a point in time where people thought I couldn't do it, and then it turns out I did. I'm the best. I told you. It's just in my blood. It's in my bones.
I don't see any more.
Nor do I. The plan worked.
It did. It bloody worked. We sent every last one of the rotten bastards straight to the mud! Lord, perhaps this will be enough to stop the Cullings. For the time being, at least.
Perhaps. Though I doubt my mother will take this loss well. She'll move swiftly to see her minions' ranks replenished.
And then it will all begin again.
Love just starts again.
I often wonder if the nation we once knew is gone for good. Her fields rot. Her people starve. We battled to preserve the flame that was, but for every foe we fell, another springs up in its place. Yet be that as it may, it is still our home, and we must fight for it, as we always have, and always will. For as long as the Firebird's flame burns in our hearts, the Duchy cannot die, and her loyal subjects may dream of a day when the Rosarian standard flies over Rosalith once more.
So wait,
Think we should fall back to Port Isolde before the garrison sends reinforcements? A sound strategy, my lord.
So cool. Da, 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 da. I still don't know anything about the crafting stuff, I'm not gonna lie.
And how long has my uncle been funding you and your comrades' endeavors?
Since the beginning. Lord Byron was the first person I turned to after forming the Guardians. And had I known of this tunnel back then, I wouldn't almost have been hanged by the city guard for trying to sneak over the wall.
I suppose a formal request for an audience would have appeared suspicious.
And appearances must be maintained. Were the Vice-Regency to catch wind of Lord Byron's involvement in our movement, they'd seize his estate and send him to the gallows, where he would be of no use to anyone. And so, though it sickens him to the soul, he plays the part of the loyal lord, knowing that one wrong move might prove his downfall. It is why he remains ever vigilant.
Ever
Don't be
vigilant.
surprised if he refuses you an audience, especially since you're famously dead.
Then I will have to think of a way to prove that I am neither wraith nor wrongdoer.
I might have something which could help with the latter.
Oh, is this where we get like a symbol?
It's the mark of the Guardian.
Ah, there we go.
Display it, and those who love Rosaria will know where your loyalties lie.
Imagine for a second he has just a giant necklace of all of the different pendants of all different things he's worked with.
Be sure
It's
that
like,
you
is it
do.
this one? Is it
I
this
don't
one?
want my men
This
attacking
one?
you again. Unless you deserve it. If only Sir Tyler could have been here to see you. Or the Lord Commander.
Thank you, Sir Wade. If there is ever anything you need.
I know. Go on now, my lord.
Rossfield Manor. Rossfield Manor? I just realized we're in Rossfield Manor.
How accommodating. Do you really think they believe we are who we say we are?
Not a chance. Right, I guess. My uncle believes we're imposters here to rob him. And means to string us up himself.
Imagine my surprise when I was told my nephew had come to visit. Clive Rossfield died long ago. and for uttering his name here, you shall pay with your tongue. You would mock me as well?
It is I, Sir Crandall of Camelot, loyal servant to her serene holiness, Saint Sybil the Unshard. Meadow, thou vile sorcerer, for thy crimes against church and crown, I shall have thy head.
Oh, no, that's actually a really cool way of going about it. That's such a clever way. That's amazing.
Curse thee, infectious flax wench. Even in death, must thou plague me still? Very well. I shall open the gates of hell, that thou might see thy charge once more.
Bravo, Uncle. You're still the finest Meadow in the twins.
Oh, Clive, my dear boy, it's really you. You always were fond of that scene from The Saint in the Sanctuary. Never did let me play Sir Crandall.
I have a favor to ask, Uncle Byron.
Rutherford, inform the kitchens. There'll be guests. We dine immediately.
But, Uncle...
You can't very well regale me with the tale of your miraculous preservation on an empty stomach. Go on, sit. See that you use the good plates, Rutherford. So you arrived late to one of her cullings, did you? Since becoming Vicereine, Annabella has been a constant thorn in Rosaria's side, but these atrocities are a new low. Something has changed. Quite what, I don't know, but
I'm not gonna lie.
the woman we knew is
I'm
gone.
still emotional about
The
it.
monster
It's so
sits in
cool.
her
That was actually a
place.
really good way of
A monster.
For better or
going about
worse, I've been charged with governing this town, and thus must maintain the illusion of obedience. That's all I can do to aid Wade and his merry band of revolutionaries.
So he's told us. You have risked much for Rosaria. Our nation will be forever in your debt.
It has been 20 years, Clive. The nation your father and your forefathers fought to defend is no more. Perhaps it would be otherwise had I the courage of my brother. All right, if it's a ship you require, a ship you shall have. I've a galley in port, but recently relieved of her cargo. She can be outfitted for the voyage in a matter of weeks.
So you believe us then? About everything?
Believe you? Ha! Only a fool would believe even half of the things you claim. But until tonight, only a fool would have believed my nephew still lived. And besides, I have it on good authority that Clive is telling the truth.
Whose authority?
On your own, of course. You've always been a terrible liar.
Is that true?
It's not untrue.
wow.
Let's say no more about it, eh? It wouldn't do to linger on my nephew's greatest failing. There One thing I cannot believe, though, is all this about you being Sid. You were always such a good boy, but now you're quite the outlaw. Which, if I'm not mistaken, would make me an outlaw's uncle. Right then, who shall we pillage first? Rutherford, fetch me my cutlass. This will be fun.
This is so sweet. This is so sweet. I'm sorry I'm such a like emotional person. This is so sweet. I'm so sentimental about stuff like this.
Over there. Go on.
She's a fine ship, isn't she?
Once outfitted, she'll bear us across the boiling sea to Drustinus in the space of 3 days. Something on your mind?
Monsters. When I served the Iron Kingdom, I did so because I saw no other choice. Because once they learned that Lash would not move me, they turned it on those who could. And so I became their puppet. I let them pull my strings, telling myself it was not my hand that swung the sword, but another's. I removed myself from the truth so I wouldn't feel the pain it caused. And before I knew it, I no longer felt anything. Anything at all. I had become a monster.
Jill.
I don't want to be a monster, Clive. Do you understand? I want to choose a different path, a better path. To live on my own terms. But before I can do that, I need to come to terms with my past.
And when you do, I'll be standing there with you, just as you stood with me.
Thank you, Clive. I must atone for my sins. Only then, when it's done, will the monster cease to be.
Just promise me that you won't die with it. Now, let's get some sleep. The journey back to Benamir is long, and there is much to tell the others.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions. I'm not gonna lie. It's emotional whiplash, this game. I guess we're doing more story. I'm happy to play more if people don't mind sticking around.
Only the Founder knows what awaits us in the Iron Kingdom. But Vivian could probably make an educated guess.
Are we getting to take to the other waifu? Yeah, sure. The other girl with the white hair? These first are the real tears of the kingdom. That's true. Then we get back to that game and we'll start crying to that one too.
Well, did you find me some wax?
Find is one way of putting it.
Ugh. Reeks like a chocobo's arse. Well, I don't suppose the Argo will mind as long as he stays above the waves.
Argo? So your boat has a name? I didn't know.
Yeah. Same as me old man. He was a ferryman himself back before the Blight came. The boat's all I have left of him. And thanks to you, he'll sail another day.
Aww. That's surprisingly cute. Awarded to soldiers for unparalleled displays of courage. Increases attack by 12. Put your back to the I mean, I personally like games that do make me emotional. Because it means that one, it makes me feel like I actually have emotions. It sounds really lame. Like, I'm not a heartless person. It sounds lame.
Against the gloom of bygone days, boats of flame take flight.
That doesn't even rhyme.
From glowing embers, beacons blaze to see us through the night.
Okay, I'll give that one like a 5 out of 10. But you really gotta work on your rhyming couplets, okay? First things first. It wasn't rhyming on everything. It was A B A B. Except for I want A to rhyme with B to rhyme with C to rhyme with D, okay?
Maeve over there's the best thing to happen to Hideaway since well, ever. she's got a smile like sunshine, and she can pull an ale like no other.
Even if you're an AA person, you're an A person.
I didn't take you for a scholar, Ivan.
Oh, this? Well, it's Valisthea, a culinary pilgrimage. I borrowed it from old tomes. Seems there's no creature in the realm so foul it can't be cooked up into something delicious.
Think I'll stick to the unfoul ones, thanks.
Oh, where's your sense of adventure, Sid? Honestly, one glance at these recipes, and even you would trade in your sword for a butcher's cleaver. From spit roasts to sweetmeats, this book has them all. What I wouldn't give to bring these recipes to life.
If it's my blessing you're hoping for, then by all means.
Well, I'm no hunter, Sid. The first tunnel worm I came across would be the death of me. But you're made of sterner stuff.
I like how I would say
Would you help
sterner
me
stuff, but I
resurrect
keep
one of
thinking
these
of Optimus Prime.
Something tells me you won't be taking no for an answer. Fine, I'll help.
I'll help.
Fantastic! Thank you.
But only because I get
So-
free food out of it.
Dare I ask what's on the menu?
Chance's Stew. It was once a favourite among the gourmands of Oriflamme, if the author is to be believed. Though Molly's never heard of it. The only problem is that while the recipe is extremely detailed in most respects, it's infuriatingly cryptic as to the main ingredient. A beast, no doubt. Most likely something that would make easy work of a simple cook.
Ooh,
broth and
Optimus.
brawn.
Yeah.
Unwanted violets. I've no idea what they might be.
Does the book say anything else?
Well, only that the sweetest violets sprout atop the bed of roses.
Roses. Rosaria, perhaps? One of the butchers in Martha's Rest might know something. I'll ask next time I'm there.
Culinary pilgrimage. Pilgrimage. Right, we do need to speak to that other waifu that we've now adopted. Miss Politics, as I like to call her. She would tell me all about all the things that are happening across the realm. Please teach me.
Back again, Lord Rosfield. I'm touched that you should find me such good company.
Don't
It is not your
tempt me, lady.
company, but your counsel that I seek on this occasion.
Ever the charmer. What will it be today, then?
The Iron Kingdom. I need to know what to expect.
You'll soon be setting sail for Drake's Breath, then, I take it. The mother crystal that rises from the boiling sea. There was a time when a true-blooded Rosarian had only to brave the waves to visit it. But then the Ironblood made their move.
Time for a history lesson.
As you know, the Iron Kingdom rules over the islands to the west of Storm. Or rather, its church does. But this is not the pragmatic approach to state religion employed by the Holy Empire to manipulate the masses. No, the Iron Kingdom is the literal embodiment of the crystalline orthodoxy. And so, if one is to understand it, one must start there. As the name implies, the orthodoxy holds the mother crystals sacred, and they do not take kindly to heathens plundering the objects of their worship for the means to fill washtubs and light lamps with frivolous feats of magic. Indeed, the faithful consider ether a sinful thing, a poison no less. And to them, a dominant is an instrument of evil, albeit one they have proven only too happy to turn against their enemies. Some 80 years ago in Northern Storm, Drake's eye collapsed. Soon after, in pursuit of ether and with the blight at their backs, the Northern Territories descended upon the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. And when the Shields of the Flame marched north to meet them, the Iron Kingdom spied an opportunity. A few short days later, the Crusaders landed on the island of Mount Drastanus, home of Drake's Breath, and plucked it from the Duchy's grasp. Rosaria tried to reclaim it, of course, but to no avail. I doubt more than a handful of Duchy men have set foot on its shores in your lifetime. Nor are they like to again, under the Empire's stewardship, meaning the Iron Blood will keep their island. And with it, the foothold they need to march on mainland soil when next they spy an opportunity. The Mother Crystal is both the object of the Iron Blood's worship and their gateway to the continent, making Drastanus the holiest of holy grounds, from which the Orthodox Crusade shall one day sail forth to claim the remaining Mother Crystals, or die trying.
And then 50 Cent improves,
My father
intensifies.
and my grandfather both traded blows with the Iron Blood for control of Drake's Breath. Had things unfolded differently at Phoenix Gate, we would have sent our entire fleet against them.
But instead, they sent their fleet against Rosaria, sacked the capital, killed the men, and captured the women, including Jill. I'd say you'd be forgiven for wanting a little revenge, Clive.
My only aim is to destroy the Mother Crystal. Then, thank you all the same. Not much else to do here. Let's see if Jill's ready.
Ooh.
We never hear.
There are new billets being posted every day. Not enough swords.
Clive! Oh, am I glad to see you?
Is something wrong?
It's Blackthorn. He ain't himself. And if I'm honest, he ain't been for a while. Normally it only takes a couple of drinks to perk him back up, but not this time. Something's getting him down. And whatever it is, he ain't telling. It's like he's lost his spark, you know? He's barely got enough fire in his belly to get the ump about stuff. But I'm thinking he might if we both bent his ear, because he respects you, innit?
Innit?
So, what you say?
Tuesday, innit, bruv?
Fine. If you think it will help.
I knew you'd understand.
But if he doesn't want to talk, we let him be. We'll open up when he's ready.
All right. Now, he'll only smell a rat if we both turn up at once. So, I'll go first, and you can meet us at the forge. Wait a bit, then head over when you're ready.
Let's do this forge quest first, and then we'll head out after this one. It's nice to be able to, like, mix and match side quests without it getting in the way of the main quest. Like, you don't have to... I mean, all the characters seem to be British. I am aware that it's a bit unstable. I'm not sure why. Hopefully the lag is not going to be around for too long. So I'm trying to do it before it gets to that. Before it gets back to the main game. God damn it, Twitch, fix yourself.
First August, and now you. What are you pair up to? What's it got to do with me?
August was worried that something had been weighing on your mind. I thought you might want to talk about it.
Did you now? I told you not to stick your nose in my business. What'd you go and do?
Clive just wants to help, innit? What's so bad about that? Talk to him. You never know, you might feel better for getting it all out in the open. Please, mate. I'm worried about you.
Oh.
Phil shut you up. It's nothing really. Stupid. Not the sort of thing you bother people about.
Why don't you tell us all the same?
Karen and I have an arrangement. I keep an eye on Goots, and she shows me what the competition's up to. Interesting arms and armor, things like that. Anyway, the other day, she shows me a cuirass she's come by. Masterpiece of level work. Light, supple, and tougher than it had any right to be. Made my stuff look like heavy, clumsy shit. I should have brought the bastard thing there and then just to study it, but I was too proud. And now every time I reach for my hammer, I'm reminded that I'm not the craftsman I thought I was. There. You happy? You got what you came for. Now piss off.
All right. We're going. I always thought of old Blackthorn as a bit of a force of nature. Like a storm cloud full of ale. Didn't think anything could rattle him. Least of all a stupid piece of leather.
Blackthorn's always taken pride in his craft. Questioning it means questioning himself. Something tells me this is only going to get worse. If he has doubts, it will affect his work, which will only add to his problems. We need to nip this in the bud.
I couldn't agree more.
He said he should have bought that cuirass. Perhaps we should track it down for him. Assuming you're happy to help, that is.
Too bloody right I am.
Glad to hear it. First things first, then. We need to speak to Karen.
We need to speak to a Karen.
Karen, do you have a moment? Blackthorn mentioned that you'd recently come by a leather cuirass. An exquisite example of the craft, from what he told us.
And he ain't been himself since he saw it. So we thought we'd buy it for him.
Sorry, sold it already. Didn't think Blackthorn cared for it the way he turned his nose up. But it was nicely put together, that's for certain. Even if the bloke who made it is a bit of an odd one. Happened across him on my travels. Makes all his stuff to order, but the fella who commissioned it refused to pay. He didn't like the colour of summit. So I took it off his hands for a fair price.
You don't know where we might find him, do you?
Like I said, he's a bit of an odd one. Doesn't even have a workshop. He doesn't trust hunters neither, which means he spends as much time out tracking beasties as he does working their hides.
I see.
He did tell me something, though. Apparently, his next commission's for a set of griffin hide greaves.
Here, there's a griffin on the hunt board. The curse breakers were placing bets on who'd bag it. Now, where the bleeding hell was it sighted? Somewhere in Sambrec, maybe... Care Northern, that was it.
I wonder how they came up with all the names. Not gonna lie.
Without you.
At least you admit it.
Yay.
So, it sounds like going
We
after
like
that
old people.
griffin might be the best chance we have of finding our roaming leather worker.
I'll leave the hunting to you if you don't mind. While you get on with that, I'll ask around the markets. See if I can't sniff out who he is and where he's hiding.
Good idea. Hopefully one of us will be able to track him down.
So what I'm doing right now is that the Twitch bitrate, it seems to have crashed a little. So I'm gonna do a side quest that hopefully fixes the main issue.
Typical nobles.
And then come back to it basically. There you are, Coupon. I've been looking all over for you.
What's the matter, Nectar?
The matter is this, Kubo.
The hunt board?
The hunt board.
Just because they can't be dealt with when they're spotted, doesn't mean they can't be dealt with later. Was that what you wanted to know?
Of course not, Kubo. I knew that already. That's why I need your help. As I need not remind you, Kubo, I am the mightiest of all Moogles. No fiend. So I need you to stay with them all, Kubo.
Right. Well, leaving your mightiness aside for the moment, the people of Valisthea are going through a lot already. What with the Blight and the war. The last thing they need is ungodly fiends terrorizing them on top of everything else. So if the curse breakers are too busy to help, then perhaps I can. Or at least I can try.
Oh, thank you, Kubo. It's so good to have found someone who understands me, Kubo. I'll stay here, then, and keep an eye on all the billets that get posted on the board. Did I ever tell you about the time I visited the...
I don't think so.
Maybe I should restart the stream. Of course I didn't, because I've never been Kupo. Look at these wings. Do they look like the sort of might like we'll carry a Moogle across countless leagues of open sea? They call me Nectar the Bold, not Nectar the Stupid, Kupo. Did I hear you say you were hoping to hunt down a griffin, Kupo? That I do have a billet for you, Kupo, and especially a horrible one called locals called Dozmer. I want that A rank.
Oh, Clive! Welcome to the Patron's Whisper.
The Patron's Whisper?
What?
Does
I already
that
whisper.
mean someone else is taking care of our friends' donations?
Oh no, that's still me. It's just Karen has her toll, Blackthorn has his hammer. I thought a new name might liven things up. I still catalogue every item that arrives, in addition to setting aside those tokens of appreciation the sender has specified are to be presented to you personally. Would you like to see if we have any? Words are immortal.
They live on in others, and if the words are your own, so too will you. Do you know who told me that? It was Jara, in our last lesson before the Titan came. It stayed with me ever since his passing and inspired me to become what I am today. Imagine we survivors all have a story like that, of someone who remains with us even though they're gone.
busy?
Business is busy. On top of my regular duties here at the Whisper, Otto has piled countless other tasks, from transcribing and sorting Storless reports to penning needful missives. Not that I'm complaining, mind. I enjoy writing. I have ever since I learned my letters from Jara back in the old hideaway. I won't claim to have been in his best student, though. That honor goes to Shirley.
Still,
I like to think Jara would be proud of me too, were he with us today.
your benefactors are a generous lot.
Such is the renown of Sid Outlaw. That much of my clientele would rather spend their time prattling on about your endeavors than making any endeavors of their own. For that, I feel I owe you at least a portion of my earnings. A particularly enamored sort of left this on the nightstand. May it serve you better than it did him. Berserker ring. Our order is one built on pride, but that does not mean we are too proud to give thanks where thanks is due. We may have failed Martha once, but never again. Your merry band of outlaws and its dashing deeds of daring do are all the talk amongst the ladies of the court. We have gathered together several items of worth that you might continue your gallantry. Oh wow, this one's given us 400 ability points.
You earned this.
I'm down for that.
All yours. Here you are. Best of luck out there, Sid.
Clive!
So much has happened since that night, feels like a lifetime ago. But we'll never forget those who didn't make it. Kenneth, Martel, they're still with us in our hearts.
Sid.
And Sid. When I found out he was gone, I thought that was it for us.
He's still
He's
with
still
us
with us too. With us and in you. You took his name and gave us help when we had none. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, don't be a stranger, eh? A hideaway ain't nothing without it, Sid.
Oh, same old.
Same old, innit? Otto's got me reading through the reports coming in from our allies and picking out the problems need dealing with now and what can be saved for later. It was still early days back in the old place, so I could just about handle the job myself. State of the world now, though, I need Dee's help to sift through it all. And that's just the sifting. Actually solving any of the problems is the whole other headache. The curse breakers take the urgent stuff, but we're still stuck waiting for the volunteers to handle the rest. So, if you ever find yourself at loose ends, well, you know where to find me.
Here you go. Seen enough?
Clairvoyant, Westgate, Sunbreak. Belphegor. I'll just have to do it on the fly.
A part of me thought Drake's head might be the last crystal we ever cracked. Oh, I'm glad I was wrong.
Looks like we're back on. Good thing I waited. Can I say how I can activate them? Oh well, doesn't matter. Cairnovant. The dim. Ah, this is Cairnovant. says use the hunt board to locate the griffin, but then it didn't say anything else after that. It doesn't let me. The gas breakers note down details are particularly dangerous to do these. Okay. It doesn't say if I can. But I did. I did use the hunt board. It didn't. I'm very confused.
We'll be over soon.
You ready?
I think so.
Jill, when you told me you had to come to terms with your past,